And welcome back to the Next Move Cast. I'm joined tonight by Nick Coriano. Nick, looking great, my friend.
How's it going, Vinny? You're looking excellent too.
Thank you. So, always pleased to have another great guest here tonight. Nick, I'll turn it over to you. This is one of your comrades here. So I'll turn it over to you, my friend, to introduce
Absolutely. Tonight we have with us Manny Torres. Manny Torres is the CEO and founder, Chief Athletic Officer, and he holds a lot of other titles at Technique Tigers Academy. And I'm going to let him introduce himself. Manny, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the Next Move Cast a little bit about what you're doing.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me. My name is Manny Torres. I'm the owner and founder of Technique Tigers Baseball Academy. We train kids from ages 7 to 12. I'm 7 to 18 from baseball, softball. We've been around for about 14 years, and we're in the Fairfield County area. We currently have a training facility of about 12,000 square feet at 25 Lindeman Drive in Trumbull, Connecticut. And I just left the facility now. We just finished training about 35 kids. We had a BP session, and it's I was able to turn my passion into a business, and I love what I do.
So now you say you turned your passion into a business. Did you grow up playing sports?
Yeah. I grew up playing baseball since I could remember. I had a baseball and a bat, somewhere around, and grew up in a neighborhood where kids were, always playing all types of sports. And my older brother played baseball, and I found a love and a passion for the game. And I grew up in Bridgeport playing all my life. I attended St. Joe's High School in Trumbull, Connecticut. I was Connecticut Gatorade Player of the Year in 1995, was chosen by the Texas Rangers, drafted in the 28th round by the Major League Baseball draft by the Texas Rangers. But I decided to go to the University of Alabama, where I was lucky enough to play in 3 College World Series. I was a 2-time All-American, and I had a small stint in pro baseball with the Cincinnati Reds, and two arm injuries kind of sidelined my baseball career. I decided to go back to school, get my degree, and go into the real world.
Wow, Manny, I am in love with this story here. I myself have many parallels to you outside of all the getting drafted and all that, but just mostly the Bridgeport baseball part. North End Little League, Notre Dame baseball, Bridgeport American Legion, with everybody over there down at Seaside, playing softball on Thursday nights down over there at Seaside.
Okay.
So I really have a passion and love for baseball. I'm envious of you because I haven't been able to turn that passion that I have into respective business. Even though it's something I think about all the time, is my passion for sports, and especially baseball, would be a love of mine to go to work and do that every day. What position did you play? Were you a pitcher?
Yeah, I was a pitcher. Yep. I was a pitcher.
Nice.
I always joke around and tell everybody that I was an athlete that just happened to be a good pitcher, because I was a decent all-around player, but pitching was always my ticket.
Yep. Now, do you subscribe to the theory that it's best to kind of be an all-around athlete still, instead of being just a centralized pitcher, predominantly focused on pitching?
No, absolutely. I always preach to all my athletes, to play multiple sports. Right now, nowadays, there's a lot of, kids focusing on one sport, and I always try to encourage all my athletes to play multiple sports, because, you learn multiple disciplines. You get to meet different people.
Mm-hmm.
You get to network with different athletes. You get to see how other kids work in different areas and things like that. And also you get to meet coaches that, one of the most influential coaches I ever had in my whole entire life was through basketball. I actually went to St. Joe's, I went to St. Joe's to focus on basketball, and they didn't even know I played baseball until baseball came around, and I just kind of kept that on the back burner. I didn't let anybody know that I was pretty good at baseball, and then I ended up doing my thing in baseball. But actually, I walked into that building as a basketball player, and that the coach that I met there, Vito Montelli, is the winningest coach in Connecticut basketball history. And I was able to, learn a lot from him. And where I got myself disciplined to become a pro athlete was definitely through the sport of basketball, believe it or not.
Wow.
So how did you make the move? You know, where, when, how did you make the move to go out on your own and start Technique Tigers? What did that look like? What were you doing before you started your own baseball academy, and how did you make that transition?
Honestly, man, it's weird because it's kind of like, I don't want to say it happened by accident, but to be honest with you, like during the time where I mean, I was in a bad place. I was in a dark place personally in my life, and I decided to turn to what I knew that would keep me disciplined and keep me grounded. I was doing things I wasn't supposed to do that was tremendously way out of my character, and I knew that. And I had a moment with myself where I said, you know what, I need to do something, or else, I wasn't heading in the right direction. So I turned to what I knew what was best and what would discipline me, and that was sports. And so I sat down with a childhood friend. We decided to start a baseball and a boxing program. That lasted about a year and a half. And then I kind of branched off on my own with the baseball alone. And then I ran into my mentor, who I had my mentor for many, many years. He was the athletic director at St. Joe's. Jim Oleas was running Future Stars Basketball Academy. And I started, just talking to him and getting advice from him on how he does his business. And honestly, it was just something that I went into as I just wanted to get some structure back in my life. And then, in talking to Jim, he introduced me to a couple more people in the baseball and the basketball world. And then I ran into a guy. His name was Ed Pecor, and I just happened to walk into a batting cage, and I told him who I was, and he happened to be a scout for the New York Mets when I was in high school, so he knew who I was. And then I worked a couple baseball clinics with him, and then he sat me down one day, and he pretty much was honest with me. He just told me, he's like, yo, you're really good at what you do. You ever thought about being like an instructor and getting into more coaching? And I said, I never really thought that I would get into coaching, but I kind of respected him for being honest with me, and I gave it a try. And the coaching game is funny because you're constantly learning. It's like a learning process every single day. And as I got deeper and deeper into it, I started realizing that I did have a connection with kids, that I was very good at teaching it. And I knew that I was bringing a different system and a different flavor to the area. And, I was able to link up with some old friends and add them to my staff. And little by little, man, we started out with an idea of starting a developmental program to focus on kids that didn't make Little League All Stars. Because if you think about Little League, let's just say, for example, just for sake of numbers and trying to understand it, if there's 100 kids in Little League, there's only 15 kids that qualify for your All Star team. So basically, what I was trying to do, I was trying to focus on those 85 kids that didn't make All Stars and try to develop their skill sets and get after those kids. Because when I was driving around the city in Bridgeport and I was going around places, the fields were empty in July and August. And as you know, in July and August is the best weather in the summertime, and the fields were empty. And I said, this something needs to happen. So I stepped in and I said, let me just start this baseball academy and focus on the kids that don't make All Stars. And what ended up happening was I started out my first academy with 58 kids, and I developed that into one travel team the next following year. And then those 58 kids bubbled to 85, and then the third year, man, I was up to 120, and it's all she wrote after that. And then but that grew into 4 travel teams, and now we're up to, man, we got over. I train over 350 kids a year in baseball and softball. Right now we have 9 travel teams. I mean, and we turned baseball into an 11-month sport.
Wow, that's amazing, man. So tell the audience a little bit how they can get a hold of you, what your passion for for kids, what the difference you can make for kids 7 to 18, where they could, your contact information so people could find you. We're gonna have this all set up for you too, Manny, where you can get this out on social media and share it with your audience as well, so you can let people know a little bit more about what you can do out there and kind of how you got to this point a bit too. I think it's a remarkable story and an inspiring story for sure.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, they can they can check us at www.techniquetigers.com. They can follow us on Facebook at /technique tigers. We got an Instagram. My email is Manny, MANNY, at techniquetigers.com. We're at 25 Lindeman Drive, 25 Lindeman Drive, Trumbull, Connecticut. We're in the front side of the Planet Fitness building, right there on Lindeman Drive. What else? The phone number there is 475-988-1501. And yeah, we just, you know, we use baseball as a tool, man. Like, I mean, you know, not just, I'm not all about wins and losses. You know, I use baseball as a tool for these kids to understand that, you know, they can use baseball to better their lives, get a better education, network with different people from all different walks of life. You know, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in, that we have kids from all different walks of life. You know, I got kids from the inner city that are interacting with kids from the suburban areas, and, you know, they interact with each other. You know, they get to know each other. I think that's important, you know, that we have kids from all different areas, from all different economic background, ethnic backgrounds, and I take a lot of pride in that. But yeah, man, we use baseball, you know, I really don't care about winning or losing, man. I've done plenty of winning in my life as a baseball player myself. I've done plenty winning as a coach. You know, right now we just really focus on developing kids' skill sets. And at the end of the day, what I preach to my kids is that we win every single day, because at the end of the day, my job is to make sure that these kids are working hard every single day, are disciplined, you know, are well-rounded student athletes. And they need to understand that being a student comes before being an athlete. Because at the end of the day, I mean, to be honest with you, you know, athletics ain't forever. It's just a small window in your life. And you know, if you have an opportunity to use athletics to network and better yourself education wise, you know, that's a home run. But at the end of the day, your education is going to be with you forever. And through sports, you're going to meet all different types of people. I'm a firm believer that some of the most successful people on the planet were part of athletic teams, you know, and I always preach to my kids that being part of a team is also, you know, you're actually training and learning how to get along with people. Even if you don't like the person next to you, you still have a common goal, is to win a baseball game. And you know what? When they get into the working world, it's going to be the same way. They might not like their colleague right next to the cubicle, but you know what? They got to do their job to get their sales or whatever they're doing, whatever field they're in, to make that company go. You know, it's all about team effort when they get out in the real world. And, you know, that's something that we get to preach every single day. And, you know, I think that's what separates us from all the other local programs, that, you know, we really focus on the development of kids overall.
Perfect. That is great advice. That is great advice. We got the contact information. We'd like to thank everybody for joining Next Move Cast. Join us again soon, guys. On to the next one.